What's good, people? This is SimFBallCritic, and as you can see, playing some NBA 2K13, which actually does provide a little bit of irony to this video, as the title says EA Sports Game Changing. And this is something I will touch on later on in the video, as we get further along. But let's go ahead and get started. So the question I get quite often is, what do you do as a game changer? Or what effect does the game changers, opinions and feedback have on the game? So I decided to, go ahead and do a video here to try to shed some light on the subject and, hopefully give you guys a better understanding. All right, now pretty much what we do, we are there to play test the game, provide our feedback, give our suggestions, provide community feedback, and for the most part, we consider ourselves the voice and the ears and the eyes of the community, because we take a lot of the community feedback and we send that on to the developers. Now, what does that all mean? I'll try to explain a little more. As far as playtest, generally what happens is we go down to EA Sports early on in the cycle, and this is the same for any game, but I'll speak from my behalf. I pretty much work directly with Madden. So we go down early on in the year. We're able to see what direction they're going with the game as far as the features and things that they plan to have for that year's game. So then we're able to play the game for a few days, and we're able to see what things out of those features are already in the game, and we're looking to see how well they're implemented. How well are they implemented? What is the success rate? What is the efficiency? What things may have bugs? What things seem to be overpowered? And all kinds of stuff like that. A lot of times we're asked to look for certain things. So simply put, sometimes when we're there, it's only for a few days. And if some things we may or may not see, depending on what we're there to test. Now, generally we can see the features right away, but like I said, things like efficiency and, how well things are playing out and how well they're implemented, a lot of that you're unable to see early on, because simply put, it's early on. But, usually that first event is designed for us to see what they have to offer, provide our feedback and suggestions on those things, and also give suggestions on other things that they should try to get in for that cycle. All right, and generally the next time we go down, we see a more polished game, in a better state. And we can clearly tell what things have been improved, what things may need to still be improved, and what things may or may not still be there in that cycle, in that game so far. So it's somewhat of the same. We give the same feedback based off of the things that work, based off of the things that needs work, and based off of the things that, in areas of opportunity. All right, and by the third time, we're pretty much looking at a very, very polished product, almost very close to being the final. And generally during that particular event, we're also providing our feedback on things that they need to capture going into the next cycle. So, once the current game releases, these are things that need to be in next year's game. All right, so I wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit of a process. And, I can't tell you everything. You guys have to understand, we're under NDA for a reason. One of which, of course, we can't share certain information until EA and the marketing team and, until they decide to release certain things. But also, the NDA is not just for that. It's also to allow certain things to be done before they're talked about. You would be surprised. There's some things that we think may or may not make it into a cycle or make it into the game for that year. But then we find out later on we're able to get that in. So that's why we don't talk about certain things. Or it could be some things for one reason or another that might not make it in that year's game, but it may be on the list to be put in later or in the next generation or, in the next cycle or what have you. And, that's another reason why we can't discuss that. So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of insight, because some of you seem to think that, we have direct control on what goes in the game and we don't. You know, we just have direct access to the devs, and we're able to have these discussions. And these guys are on board with us, believe it or not. You know, I've said that a few times, and some people will believe it, some won't. They want a simulation football game. That's what they're telling us they're shooting for. And I believe them. You know, just being able to see the things that I've seen so far, especially going into the next generation. You know, they have a lot of plans in place. I'll say that. So you have to understand, you know, that's what we do as game changers. We try to provide as much feedback as possible. We encourage you guys to give us your feedback, and we pass it on. You know, there hasn't been not one piece of feedback that I haven't passed on. Now, as far as the EA Sports thing, and EA having claims on our lives and things of that nature, that is completely untrue. We can play any game we feel like it. We can make videos on any game we feel like it. We can talk about EA Sports however we want to talk about EA Sports. As you can see, I'm playing a 2K product as I'm referencing myself being an EA Sports game changer. All right, so hopefully I've been able to answer some of your questions. You know, if you have any questions, guys, feel free to leave them in the comments. You can send me a PM. If you have feedback or questions, you can do the same. You know, shoot me a PM, contact me on Twitter at SimFBallCritic, and I'll do what I can. But like I said, guys, I just wanted to try to give you some insight and some clarity as to what we do. All right. So we'll go ahead and wrap this video up. For those of you guys who follow me on a regular basis, you know, don't forget, every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, the Sim Perspective Radio Show, this show for the Sim Gamer. Make sure you give us a call. You can reach us at 347-202-0388. That's where we talk about simulation gaming. All right, guys, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off. And like always, let me know what you think.